Angela Bitz is going to play the piano part, and American in Paris by Gershwin. These are shortened versions of the actual works, but they capture the essence of the originals. And we're going to do something we have not done before. Excuse me. We have not done before, and we're going to have a group open up for us. The group is called Parlour Blue, and I'll let Jonathan talk more about that. But they're going to open up and play some entertainment for the audience before we have an intermission, and then the orchestra will come out and do their set as well.
Okay. Now, how long have you been the chamber director?
I've been directing them. This will be the end of my third year.
Okay. And then you're also at the high school, right?
Yes, sir. I'm the high school band director here at Long Prairie Grey Eagle.
Okay. And, of course, now how many members do you have in the chamber orchestra, give or take a couple?
We average right around 30 members. We're always looking for people that want to play, particularly stringed instruments, violin, viola, cello, string bass. We're always looking for more people to join us. You know, we meet once a week. We have 3 concerts a year, and so the way it lays out is that 8 weeks prior to each concert, we start a Tuesday evening rehearsal, and we rehearse for 8 weeks, and then we do a dress rehearsal the day of the concert, and we perform. And that's the way it's been structured for many, many years.
Okay, so what level of I guess, professionalism or level of playing should you be at in order to be in the orchestra?
Well, typically when people, are proficient on these instruments, they usually meet the minimum requirements for this orchestra. We have all different ages in here. We have people that are well into their retirement years, and we also have various members of the high school music program also playing in the orchestra. A very wide range from. We've had students as young as 13 all the way up to members as old as 90 over the years.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. And it's also a great way for people to get to know each other. I mean, different age groups.
Yeah, and we've had very good community support. Our last several concerts have had just tremendous attendance, and the community seems to really get behind the orchestra, and they enjoy what we do.
Good. And, of course, now, when's the best time to join your orchestra? Anytime, or how does that work?
Well, in a perfect world, the best time would be to join when we start our cycle, but I think really the best time can be in the fall. We usually start right around the time school starts. Our first concert is usually late October, last week in October, and then that affords an opportunity for someone to join in at that point for the next cycle. Then we do a New Year's Eve performance that we've done for a while, and then we kind of take January off. Some of the people go off to warmer climates, things like that, and then we start again late January, early February, and we usually have a concert sometime in end of March and sometimes in April.
Okay, so now when you were in high school, I'm sure you did all the musical things, and then you went on to college. Did you get a degree in music, or what went on?
Well, since I'm a teacher, I have a degree. I have a Bachelor of Science in Music Education. I got it from Minnesota State University, Moorhead. Some number of years ago, I'd rather not disclose that. But don't want to age myself too badly. But yeah, but really, the members of the orchestra, we do have from time to time, we bring in some people that have music degrees or they perform professionally. Sometimes we need to fill in some gaps. But really, most of the people in this group are just individuals who have other jobs, other walks of life. I mean, we have a school secretary, we have a couple of school teachers, we have people that work in other various businesses that, aren't necessarily related to music, but they've always made music, a passion or a hobby in their lives or a passion in their lives. And those are the kinds of people that we aim to serve. Someone who's still, enjoyed playing music so much when they were younger that they want to continue to find a way to express themselves with an instrument, and that's what the orchestra provides for them.
Sure, and I think how you do it with a free will offering really opens it up for anybody who would like to come then.
Well, we are fortunate enough to be able to secure funding for various projects through grants, among them the Five Wings grant. I don't want to. I think Luan Brunkhorst or Carol Duke, the operations manager of the orchestra, would be better served to talk about that. I don't want to give misinformation or get anything wrong, but that does enable us, in fact, to not so much worry about charging admission for our concerts. We just provide, like you said, a free will offering.
Right, and if you can't make the concert, now you're going to do a live stream, right?
All of the orchestra concerts are live streamed on the orchestra YouTube channel, and they are left in perpetuity. So, like right now, if I wanted to, I could go back and watch my first concert from a couple of years ago. It's just right there. So,
okay.
And besides being the director, I also handle the technical aspects of the orchestra, like the live streaming.
Okay. And, of course, there's a wonderful auditorium that we have here in town, really helps out. So do you have, like, who does the sound and help with all that?
Well, typically I get everything kind of set up and squared away, and then I have various students that I've trained that come in and work the equipment, because obviously when I'm up on stage, I can't necessarily do anything in the background. So we're very blessed to always have a few individuals that are trained in that to go and back. Now, having said that, if there's anybody in the community that's interested in helping out with concerts, we're always open to getting some people in to help with that as well.
Right. And, of course, there's going to be some, I guess I could say, some food available. Is it during intermission or before? How does that work?
Well, details are still being worked out. Typically, in a regular concert, we have treats or desserts or whatever after the concert is over. But I am in progress of working with Jill Hansen, our FCS teacher here at the school, or home ec for those of you that are old school. They have been providing the refreshments. She's been training. It's part of her training students for careers in the professional food industry. She has them help out prepare these treats for these concerts. So yes, it'll either be intermission or afterwards. I can't speak for sure where that's going to be at this point.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I'm a professional chef. I can warm a hot dog up in the microwave. No, I can do more than that, but it seems like that's what we use the microwave for. But is there anything else you want to talk about before we get to Jonathan?
I just would like to thank the community personally for supporting us. It's going to be a good time. It's an afternoon concert on Saturday. Like I said, we're going to open up with this great jazz group from Brainerd, which you'll hear more about in a minute. And then after a short intermission, the orchestra will come out and present some fine entertainment along the theme centered around jazz.
Okay. Yeah, I love jazz. There's so many types of jazz, too, from the original style of jazz to contemporary jazz fusion. It goes on and on. But, hey, Chuck, thanks for taking me some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us this morning.
It was my pleasure and my privilege to be on this morning. Thank you so much.
And we'll talk to you later. Take care.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Chuck Speer, director of the Long Prairie Chamber Orchestra. Now we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we'll have Jonathan Laflamme on from Parlour Blue.
Psst, Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
What are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
Well, what are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. Don't you remember me? Don't you know that we miss you?
Miss me? Who misses me?
You know, all your friends in the forest. The trees, the pond, that little fort that you made out of branches. We all miss you.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
The forest is not that far away. Have an adventure today. I'm sure your mom would take you.
You're right. I should get out. I want to have fun. Play in puddles, catch frogs, and climb trees. Hey, Mom!
Yeah, hon? Steven, what is that in your hand?
It's my sense of adventure, Mom. It's telling me we need to get out of the house and have some fun in nature today.
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Good morning, 8:44. It's time for the second part of Open Mic, and my guest on the phone this morning is Jonathan Laflamme from Parlour Blue, the jazz group that will be playing at the concert coming up at the school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, of course, with the Long Prairie Chamber Orchestra. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Cliff.
It would have been nice if I could have had you both together at the same time. We'll work on that later, but I'm glad you called in, and we'll get you on. First of all, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about Parlour Blue. Okay, when you say jazz, I kind of mentioned it before Chuck had to go. There are so many different styles of jazz, and so what do you play with that group?
Yeah, I would say that, thank you, that's an excellent question, and a question we get often. We try to cover as much as we can, but really focusing on music that moves people. So we're talking about crooner music. Think of like, Frank Sinatra, Michael Bublé, of course, has brought back a lot of them, Harry Connick Jr., a lot of those kind of either revamping or just doing those pieces in the exact same style. And then we also do some blues music, and we also have a Motown concert. So we're just going to put as much as we can in that 45-minute slot that we're playing to kick off the concert this Saturday.
Right. So now tell us how many pieces you have and what different instruments will be involved.
Yes, absolutely. So it is an 8-piece ensemble, and we have some wonderful, absolutely dynamite musicians in the group with some very unique backgrounds. I myself, I'm a signed artist through KHS International, the second largest instrument manufacturer in the world. I'm a college professor at Central Lakes College, just there in Brainerd. I have my doctorate in music, and then our piano player, Dr. John Harlander, is a astrophysicist by day and a professional musician by night. Our other vocalist, Dr. Larry Moline, has a Downbeat Award, which is a lot like winning a Tony or a Grammy in jazz. She's phenomenal. You're going to hear her sing. She's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Dr. Terry Vermillion, retired from being the professor, long time, 33 years at St. Cloud State on drum set. And then we have Joe McGowan, who is also kind of an attorney by day, professional musician by night. He's in lots of groups in Minnesota. He plays guitar in our group. Michael Summerness is our tenor saxophone player. He's band director at Brainerd High School. Preston Weber is one of my colleagues at Central Lakes College, and he plays alto saxophone. And then Gunnar KEYL, our bass player, a fabulous musician, cut his chops in Wheaton College, and that comprises the 8-piece Parlour Blue. And
how long have you guys been playing together?
I formed the group during COVID, actually. So when COVID happened, as many people know, that the performances of live music really stammered, and it was a great opportunity for me to go and kind of assemble the best and create great music on a weekly basis and form an identity as an ensemble. Difficult task when you have a lot of really accomplished musicians. And however, that was kind of the silver lining of that tragedy for many people, and not for others. And so coming out of that, then most of our performances have been for private endeavors. And so we're really excited to be able to perform for a public event, which will be this Saturday at 2:30.
Right. And now, do all the musicians live in the Brainerd Lakes area?
No, we're from all over the state of Minnesota,
okay.
And a lot of us travel. I just got back from performing and working in the West Indies. I just got back late last night, and so we're kind of all over the place, really.
So your body's not in the right time zone yet, maybe?
Well, it's not that far, but this summer when I go to Europe and Asia, that's usually a little bit of an adjustment.
Sure. So, and now what do you play again? I might have missed this.
Yeah, so I'm a signed artist through KHS. They own about 21 different instrument manufacturing brands. Their professional line of brass is called XO. And so I'm signed under their trumpet label, under the flugelhorn label, and then they own also Hercules Music Accessories, and they've kind of taken over the market from music stands to instrument stands, microphone stands, all of that. Yes.
Right, and it gets pretty complex. I mean, you have to get there early. You got to have a sound check. You just don't sit down and start playing. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you have to do. And then, rehearsal time. When you're all over the map, you said living in the state. Do you do rehearsals online, or do you get together once in a while live? How does that work out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really spent a lot of time almost sequestered in that year and a half when public performances weren't really allowed in Minnesota. And we all have different feelings about that, but that was just the case, right?
Right.
So we spent a lot of time, a couple hours a week at least, together. And then whenever we have something new that requires maybe some very special music, we've done everything from a celebration of life where we've been contracted to do both the ceremony for the family in kind of a large but private setting, and then that turning into a giant party at a residency or establishments, maybe like on Gull Lake, and they want very specific material that we don't have. It's not something that we've rehearsed yet. Then we'll get together for like a whole day and put that together. But when you have the caliber of musicians that we have, it really doesn't take long. We come up with arrangements. We've recorded. You can actually. We used to perform under a different name, but then when we added the Motown music to it, we decided to change our name. So if people go just to their streaming services, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, so forth and so on, whatever they use, Apple Music, and they type in the Jazz Authority. We have one single that we released, and then we have about 20 just 30-second samples so that people can really get an idea of exactly pertaining to your first question, Cliff, which was, when you say jazz, what do you mean?
Right.
Because it is a very vast genre.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, because I listen to more of the contemporary stuff on the radio when I'm driving around.
Sure.
I was going to ask you if he did any Sade. But I mean,
I would say we do music analogous to that, but we don't cover Sade.
Yeah. The first jazz that I listened to, I grew up in the 60s listening to the rock and roll and I am a musician, but I'm not a musician to the point where I could probably set in on the drums and fake it, but as far as a guitar player, I have to have my chord charts. Because the older you get, it seems like trying to remember everything unless you've known something, but I think the first jazz of any type I ever listened to was George Benson back in the mid-'70s.
Sure.
And, This Masquerade and those tunes. And then I started listening to stuff like Billy Cobham and Stanley Clark, and the list goes on and on. So then I've got quite a wide range of, I guess, of music taste. So, but yeah, there's a lot of good jazz out there. And then there's the traditional jazz that some people may have forgotten about. Do you throw in some of that too?
Absolutely. Yeah, we keep a few of those tunes, and especially when we're playing either a concert series, like a summer concert series, which I hear you have one in Long Prairie. But if we're doing a summer concert series, or we're performing at a larger venue, and people are asking for, you just kind of read the crowd. Then we've even pulled out something as ancient as In the Mood. And rip that out there. With 3 horns and a full rhythm section, 2 vocalists, you can really do a lot of things.
Right. And In the Mood, that's kind of like the 40s, 50s kind of style that a lot of older people like. But, yeah. But there's so much, when you think about Frank Sinatra, he was kind of in that jazz group too, and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, crooner music. That's a whole genre within. It's probably the largest tent of any style, right? Because rock and roll, comes out of the jazz family, and there are some tunes that would still be called jazz. Funk is jazz. Reggae is jazz. All your Latin. So whether it's just like I like Latin music, or what do you like? Do you like Guaguancó or 3/2 clave, 2/3 clave, rumba, cha-cha, tango, all of that, and then you can go all the way up through probably one of the more contemporary groups right now is Trombone Shorty, a group out of New Orleans, and they were actually in the Super Bowl in the pregame show, and so was Harry Connick Jr. So it's jazz is definitely still alive and well. A lot of people know it, and what I tell a lot of people, I know that it's we're in the end of March, but if you like Christmas music on the radio, then you like jazz, because almost every Christmas medley tune that you hear kind of comes out of that. It's got a good beat. There's some instruments playing, and it feels good, and hopefully relaxes you a little bit. So so I think I'm hard-pressed to find someone that doesn't like it. And it's actually having a large resurgence in high schools. The jazz programs at area high schools are really strong throughout Minnesota.
Right. And then some of the jazz can get pretty creative, almost abstract. I mean, I've listened to like Weather Report and stuff. Some of the stuff gets out there maybe too far out for some normal people. But you ever play anything that's really intense like that?
Yeah, we do.
Well, that's good.
And we do that mostly like if we're doing a mini residency. So,
sure.
For instance, April 11th, we're spending the day and then doing an evening concert in Staples at Staples Mountain High School to kind of get their jazz program rejuvenated. And they've written a bunch of grants, and we're going to come in and do that. And if the students are open to that, then we'll do something of that nature. Absolutely. Or if we're playing for more of an academic crowd, last year we performed at the Minnesota Music Educators State Convention, and so we played a few numbers that were, a little bit more, as you used, intense. Absolutely.
Right. And then you could think about, you talk about New Orleans jazz. I always think of Pete Fountain. I don't know why. But,
sure. Sure. Yeah, it's pretty endless, and it's one of the few idioms, genres of music that just keeps expanding their tent. And so, there's even a lot of hip hop music that
sure.
They got their ideas from jazz. So it's pretty exciting.
Right. My kids played in the jazz band at the high school.
Sure.
One was a drummer and a guitar player, and the other one was a trombone player. She played trombone in college too in the jazz band. But now she plays in my band, which is classic rock, and she plays bass. But anyway,
wonderful.
Hey, I want to try to get to that concert because it sounds pretty interesting with the mix of music between the chamber and, of course, Parlour Blue playing all that different jazz.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely fantastic. We're looking forward to it. And, it's still Minnesota, so when the weather's not perfect, we go inside and we listen to great music. It's one of the things that makes our state great.
Right. And some of us still listen to vinyl.
Well, and that's making a huge resurgence.
It is.
Among young people. Oh, absolutely. Because
right.
of when people cut vinyl records, they would use the entire soundscape, right? And so to save money when people moved into MP3s and a lot of the digital music that's out there, one of the things we cover, and we have 2 music degrees that are basically brand new at Central Lakes College. One's in music technology, and the human ear, can have the range, right? If someone hasn't had any damage, of 20 hertz, which is very, very low, to 20,000 hertz, which is very, very high. However, we can hear higher than that. We just can't identify the pitch, but we hear what are called overtones, and that gives almost a shiny or a color, if you will, depth to the music. And vinyl has all of those, that real large range of hertz, where I'm playing, where the companies, to save money and to save file space to convert waves to MP3s, they just went right at that 20 to 20,000. So that's one of the reasons that vinyl is really making a comeback, especially in bigger communities.
Right, and I heard that one thing about vinyl, it sounds fuller, is that when the needle rides in the groove, there's a natural distortion we can't hear, but it makes it fatter. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I would say that it adds to the hertz.
Right.
And so I guess the easiest metaphor I would use is, when we hear a vacuum cleaner where there's a whole bunch of tones, we can't necessarily identify one, but our dogs, they freak out because they can hear them all.
Well, I'm out of time already here. I'm sorry. Interesting conversation with you, Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, no, my pleasure. And I very much look forward to meeting you. Come make sure you introduce yourself to me on Saturday, and it's going to be a great concert. Okay, that's Open Mic. That was Jonathan Laflamme with the Parlour Blue Orchestra. That's Open Mic for today.